I got to get a chair that doesn't squeak.
Hello, is this thing on?
This is the Home Tech Podcast, show number 92 for October 25th, 2012. I am your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live and commercial-free from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a blustery and wet and cold Bellevue, Nebraska, and we post the show each week with world-class show notes out at the AverageGuy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Just send us an email, podcast at the AverageGuy.tv. Track me down on Twitter, just at J Collison, or follow the show's Twitter account at the AverageGuy.tv. If you're listening with audio only, and many of you do, you can listen to the complete show on demand out at YouTube. Just go out there and search for Home Tech or the Average Guy .tv. If you're watching the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel or link. There should be a subscribe button that's right up there. And click on that, and that way you make sure you get the show each and every week. And, of course, you can join us live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, over at the AverageGuy.tv live. All right, I got a busy group tonight, and we got lots to talk about tomorrow. You know, today is October 25th. Tomorrow's the 26th then, and, of course, that's the Windows 8 launch and all kinds of good stuff that comes out from Microsoft with the Surface tablets coming out. We're going to talk about that tonight. First, I want to introduce the guys briefly that are with me, and all the way to my left, and the guy from Melbourne, Australia, and the all things HP, Andrew Morris. Andrew, how are you?
Good, thanks, Jim. Nice day down here in Melbourne. Sort of. We're waiting for summer to start at the moment.
Yeah, now, so Windows 8 still hasn't launched. It's already Friday for you guys, and it's around the lunch hour. You'll have to wait for, it'll be Saturday, it'll be late, or I guess early Saturday morning before you guys get the official launch, right? Noon Eastern here?
No, it's on the market already.
Is it? Okay. And Andrew, I could use a little more volume from you too. It seems like you've dropped a little bit. You just pick that up. Yeah, well, we'll get you in there, so that's fine. And then the guy who's also has a Yeti mic and is also a Home Server Show listener, and also is at the meetup, who I met for the second time at the Home Server Show meetup, John Stutsman. John, how are you?
Fantastic. It was nice to meet you for the second time, or first time.
Well, first for me, second for you. And I wonder how long we'll be able to stretch that joke out.
Well, we'll keep trying.
Hopefully not too much longer. We'll talk about the meetup here in a little bit, but John, good to see you again. And then all the way to the right, host of JPEG to RAW, and the guy who probably comes on this show more than anybody else. Although John Zadler is trying to keep up with you, Mike Howard. Mike, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great. What's this meetup thing you guys are talking about?
Oh, yeah. I don't even
anything about that.
I think if I go back and watch the meetup videos, Mike, I think you're in all of them. So
I'm in quite a few of them, but I'm not physically there. I was there in spirit.
Yeah. Well, we had, let's just talk about it real brief. We've been talking about it for a while here on the show, and October 20th out in Indianapolis. We all got together. There's about 18 of us. I think that was, when we count everybody in the picture, I think it was 18, including John Zadler, who came in remotely on the HP 310. He was on that all day, kind of burned his image into the screen there. And so a good meetup. We had lots of things to talk about. We talked about some Drobo stuff, some Synology stuff, some Tornado plug stuff. John, you tore down your HP microserver and ripped that thing apart. John Zadler did it in tandem with you over a Google Hangout. That was kind of unique.
It was great. Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and we put a IC dock dual swap into the HP microserver, and the microserver, I know we've talked about it a lot on the forums and stuff, and it's a great device for the home hobbyist, as well as a great little small business server. And with that, I think everybody saw how the dual swap with that IC dock in there is versatile for when you want to do different configurations. And actually at the meetup we tried two completely different configurations. Started out with one OS and some Hyper-Vs running within it. And then we pulled out the drives, inserted some new drives, and 10 minutes later we had a completely different system. So it was pretty cool to work with.
Yeah, very good. So if folks want to know more information, just head over to homeservershow.com, and we've got some posts, and people have been posting pictures and some videos and such. And if we ever do that, excuse me, if we ever do that again, you'll want to be there. It was a good day and a good time had by all. We had some good fish and chips at the Irish pub in the evening, and then a little visit over to the Microsoft pop-up store in the mall there in Indianapolis, and then a trip to Steak and Shake. And if you don't have a Steak and Shake in your area, you are missing. You're just missing a treat. No Steak and Shakes here in Omaha. Mike, do you have a Steak and Shake?
We do, yeah.
You do, yeah. Steak and Shake. So good shakes. I had never had a steak, so I don't know if those are any good. I'm sure their burgers are good. That's probably what they.
Yeah, I don't know if they're known for their steaks, but I guess Steak and Shake. But I wouldn't have a steak there. I'd have a burger.
Yeah.
They have great hamburgers. Well, what's this if you were saying, Jim?
What do you mean?
If we have another meetup.
Well, you never know. You never know.
We got to think positive here.
Got to think positive. Maybe next summer. Although one of the guys, Keith, out in the Denver area, said he'd love to have one out there. And of course, I said maybe we could have the winter meetup in Leadville. That's always that's the highest incorporated city in the United States, up at about 10,000 feet, and do a little skiing and a little meetup.
You're gonna have a winter meetup in a cold place?
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You can do some skiing.
I was thinking more Deerfield Beach or something like that.
Yeah, you guys forget I like the cold weather, so that's what I like to do. So
yeah, you guys have inspired me. I'm thinking maybe JPEG and Raw need to do something like that.
Oh man, you could definitely do a meetup with the fan base that you've got. So
yeah.
that would be cool. So
that was very fun to watch.
Yeah, it was good. It was great to be there, and maybe we need to do a meetup in Melbourne. We've got quite a few Australian listeners now. Andrew, what do you think?
Ooh, why not?
All right, we'll get one scheduled. We'll have Rennie come down from Brisbane, and we'll do it. Maybe we should just meet in Sydney. Meet in between, right?
Yeah, you'd probably find that no one other than the Sydney siders would go, because there's the whole Sydney and everywhere else in the country rivalry.
Oh, really? Is it Sydney and then everybody else? Is that kind of how it's separated there?
It can be, yeah.
Well, they did host the Olympics, so that they got that going for them. So, well, good. Well, the hangout is here, the meetup is here and done, and I want to thank Dave McCabe for putting that on over at the Home Server Show, and maybe at some point in time we'll do a home tech meetup. Maybe, who knows? Well, what I really want to talk about and get to tonight, of course, it is it's 8 o'clock Central Time here in the U.S. and Windows 8 will be released tomorrow. I think it's 11 Central or 11 Eastern. I think I could be wrong on that. It's sometime in the morning Eastern Time. Windows 8 comes out. It's really, if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, no big surprises there. Mike Howard and I, and actually a very, very popular show now, has spent a bunch of time back on show 89 talking about Windows 8 and what's coming with in kind of what a little mock tablet that I have here behind me. That will allow me to kind of mimic a lot of the things that are going to go on. Now, it's not RT, which is different. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes as well. But tomorrow, the new tablets that nobody has seen, that Microsoft has kept a very, very tight rein on, though they have not necessarily seen many units leak out, and where people have been trying them. So, for the most part, if you want to do RT, RT is the ARM version of Windows 8. Tomorrow, you got to go to the store to do it. Now, Mike, I know you've got some on order. What do you have coming tomorrow into the? I assume it's coming to the office. What do you got coming?
So you know how I can pull stuff out of my desk, right, Jim?
Yeah, I know. You don't tell me you got one there.
I don't.
Okay.
I so wanted to have it today, but tomorrow. We have, and I'm hoping it's showing up tomorrow, delivered to the office. 2 Windows RT tablets. One is a 32-bit, 32 gig one. The other is a 64 gig one. Both with the cover tablet, the cover, whatever it is, keyboard. The
touch. The touch keyboard.
Right.
So
that's the 2 we have coming tomorrow.
Okay. And exact identical, just black keyboard, right?
Yeah,
plain Jane, whatever, right?
I wanted black, so yeah, just the plain Jane stuff.
Yeah, and what are you hoping for when you? I mean, what are you hoping it'll do? Let's just talk real brief for those that don't know. Of course, this is RT. It's ARM only. No no x86 applications, so no regular programs that run on Windows 7 today will be able to run on it. Only those things that are available through the Windows 8 store is all that you can run, plus the Office experience that you have on it. So what are you hoping to see in this?
Well, you know what we're looking at, because we have a lot of our executives now are using tablets, maybe an Android based, an older Android based. They're using tablets, but they still have their laptop too. So they're mainly consumption people. They're not doing a lot of production. They're looking at emails and maybe responding to that a little bit, doing that kind of thing. So what we want to test is the Surface or is Windows 8 something viable that we can give that to those guys, and they no longer need a tablet and a laptop. They can get along with just a tablet. So we'll get the Pros when those come out, but we are thinking that the RT may be good enough for them because it comes with Excel, comes with the student version of Office, right?
Yes.
So the
Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and OneNote.
Yeah, and that is fine for them. So what we want to see is, is that good enough for what they need to do? How is the Surface? I'm not going to give it to one of those guys until we've tested it. Is it smooth enough? Is it fast enough? Is it does it do what they need to do?
And you're going to be the primary tester, right?
Yeah. The one thing that we know is, yeah, I am, me and another guy.
Yes, you are.
So you caught on to that. One of the things that we don't like, and this may be a deal killer right off the bat, is it does not come with internet connection. Now,
Wi-Fi only.
I can tether, but these are the kind of guys who are going to want to turn the thing on and use it. They're not going to want to turn the thing on, then turn their phone to a hotspot and do all that kind of stuff. They're going to want to turn it on and it just works. So, the thing that may not work for them. So we may have to wait and see when versions come out that do have a cellular connection. And that would be something for them, and it may end up not being a Microsoft product. The thing that we're really excited about is I see just a flood of Windows 8 tablets hitting the market, in the next year, and if you don't like the Surface, I'm sure something's going to come out with Windows 8 on it that you're going to love.
Yeah. So Wi-Fi only, no 3G at this point for you guys. So kind of some limited testing in your enterprise, so to speak. The RT will not have any kind of enterprise integration, so it's a DIY. You basically have to treat it like an iPad or an Android tablet of sort, because it won't. No group policies, no security features coming with Windows. So it will give you, I think, a good. So are you actually buying these? Are you leasing them? Or are you what are you doing with them?
We're buying them. So
Okay.
that's why we only got two, is because I think that this won't be the end solution, but it will at least get us a feel for how Windows 8 is going to feel on a tablet, how it's going to interact. We can do some testing with it. Hopefully, the Pros come out, or some other Windows 8 tablet comes out that has 3G or 4G built into it that we can use that way.
Yeah.
Because really for us the choice is an Android tablet or a Windows 8 tablet. We're not going to go the Apple route. And
Okay.
that's not just because of my personal feelings of Apple, but for other reasons too.
Okay.
But we see, the tablet is for people like this, for the executives who are doing a lot of consumption and a little bit less of production on a tablet, on a PC. Really, the laptop is not that needed. It gets in the way. It's too heavy. It's too bulky to carry around, and not what they need. But they do need a keyboard from sometimes, to do some stuff.
Mike, have you seen or looked at the Mail app that comes with Windows 8 standard, and have you messed around with that very much?
Very little.
Okay, yeah, I think you're going to struggle. Your executives will struggle a little bit with it right out of the chute. So it's the first thing I try, by the way. When you get that out. So and I'm showing it right here. You can't see it, unfortunately, but if you've used Windows 8 before, there's a kind of a whole. If you use Outlook.com, the UI is very similar to what you're going to get inside Windows 8. Just a little bit different, but very similar in the way it's kind of laid out. So that might be. It's a good test, Mike. You'll get a chance to set your email up on that tomorrow and give it a shot. And I think it's not Outlook. And so if they're not willing to go to email, are they on iPads right now?
No, they're using Android-based tablets.
Okay. Well, they might be able to. And those work for them?
Those are working great. We don't get any complaints.
Okay, so
and
that might just be fine.
It's not the Samsung Galaxy. It's another tablet, and it's worked fine for them. Because mainly what they need to be able to do is look at PDFs, look at web pages, and maybe look at some. I don't know how they're looking at Excel. Maybe they're not looking at Excel. But I'm not willing to just hand an executive, here's a Surface tablet. I've never used it before. I have no idea what it's going to do.
Right.
It needs to be tested out.
Yeah, very good. Andrew, what you got any plans for Surface at all? Have you looked at? First of all, what's the availability for you there? You have to order it online, or go ahead.
Sorry, I'm talking to the mute button. I'm not actually sure what the devices are going to run out at. I know that Pros hit the stores already, so as of today, you can already buy the Pro Pack or Pro itself for about $58. What the difference is, I'm not entirely sure, because I haven't had a chance to look at it that much. But yeah, as for the devices, I haven't actually seen what's happening with the hardware as yet. So I think it's going to be. We'll probably see something start hitting the market in the next couple of days, I'd imagine.
Okay. And just to recap for folks, here in the United States anyways, any upgrade to Windows 8 is $40 or $39. Let's just say it's $39.99. $40 gets you upgrade to Windows 8. $70, right? $69.99 gets you the upgrade to Windows 8 Pro. And then, Andrew, you would put a link in the show notes that Microsoft right now is offering a free upgrade to Pro Pack if you have Windows 8 Pro already at this point, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a link that I'll pop in the show notes where they talk about visiting a URL and throwing in your throwing in an email address, and they send you a key, and once you put that key in, you get Media Center installed.
Yeah, so
download some bits and pieces, and away you go.
So we've been kind of worried about exactly how much the Pro Pack is what they've called that, Media Center, basically. We've all been worried about how much that would cost, and it looks like maybe Microsoft, at least between now and the end of January, is going to give that thing away for free.
Yeah, it looks like they've had to think about it. In the Australian location, at least, when you go to add the feature in, if you don't tell them you've already got a key at $10, so $9.99.
Okay.
But yeah, this key is free until the 31st of January next year. So I see that it's a reasonable opportunity to make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah. So set up your HTPC now if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But is that a clue to how much Media Center is going to be here in the future? If you're going online and it's $10 now, do you think that's what it stays, assuming they don't renew that beyond January?
You have to say it's going to be $10 or $10, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't do that, and I haven't looked into it, and I haven't heard from anybody along those lines. But it sure seems like $10 might be the price that comes out at. Anybody else, guys? Have either one of you seen that price here in the U.S.?
I'm not a Media Center user, so I haven't really looked at that.
Okay. John, have you seen anything?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any prices on that.
Okay, yeah. So I imagine that's the way it's going to be going forward. So if you're worried about Media Center, at least Microsoft has made that right now. And if you go all the way to Windows, we were worried that you're going to have to buy a Windows 8 Pro license and then buy another Pro Pack license on top of that. And at least for right now, that looks free. So it looks like John Zadler on the chat says he's checking his email every half hour for the key. So I'm kind of hoping Pro Pack comes available through TechNet.
I think it's like the button on the elevator. You got to keep hitting the refresh there, John.
Right.
Send receive.
The more you do it, John.
Yeah,
go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say I put a request in. I think it was about 8:30 last night, and it hit my inbox around about 15 hours later. So it did take a heck of a long time for it to come through. While we've been talking, I've just done a bit of a look online as well. The new products are available here already, so you can get for example, a Toshiba Satellite U920T, which has got a Core i5, 4 gig of RAM, 256 gig SSD, 12.5-inch touchscreen for about $1,600. There's a Samsung for about $1,700. Where are we? Yeah, Apple have got one out for about $15. There's an Asus. It looks like it's all Windows 8 Pro at this stage. It doesn't look like there's anything that's in the pricing that we're expecting for the RT version as yet. So
yeah,
they're definitely coming. They're definitely in the channel in Australia at the moment. Anyway,
yeah, they're going to be, and they'll click over and be available, tomorrow for us. And so, if you're listening to this podcast audio or watching the YouTube video, chances are all that stuff is out there. I resisted the urge to try and update the Windows 8 Know It guide with some equipment, because that's going to change so rapidly.
So fast,
it just won't be worth it. John Stutsman, let me ask you, what are your plans going forward? Are you enticed at all by the Surface tablet? Have you thought about RT? Where are you at with that?
Of course I'm enticed, and I was thinking about the RT very seriously. I think if it had been available shortly after they had announced it, I probably would have just got it on impulse. Now that I've thought more about it and I've saw more that's out there, I'm leaning more towards the Pro. But right now, I didn't know if we wanted to get into it right away, but I had upgraded my laptop. And it's a small laptop. It's an Acer 1810T, so it only has like about 11.6-inch screen, and it's close to the size of a netbook, but it has a dual-core CPU in it. And I changed out the hard drive to an SSD, and then I did exactly what you said. I decided I would give it a shot and just load Windows 8 Pro on it, and see if it found all the drivers, and it did, and I was shocked that it did, and the thing is just running fantastic. Well, you saw it. I had it at the meetup.
Yeah,
you could turn that thing on from it could be cold dead, and you turn it on and it's up, and you got the lock screen in 8 seconds, and hit the shift key, and you go out of the lock screen into the logon screen, type in your password, and then hit. It'll take you to the tiles, or if you want to just go straight to the desktop. I had it set up. I just hit the enter key, and I go right to the desktop, and I'm just loving that thing.
Did you say it's running a SSD?
I'm running I have a Crucial GS 240 gigabyte SSD in it, and the thing is just screaming.
Well, you don't buy them too big, do you, John?
I had bought some 60s, and it was just, the prices just keep coming down.
I know.
And did I say Crucial? I meant a Corsair. A Corsair GS.
Right.
And Corsair has been pushing the prices down of their upper end SSDs, and it just seems silly to get a smaller one when you can get. At that time, I could get a 240 for about 160. So
right.
It was just, that's incredible. I can remember when we were chomping at the bit for 60s at those prices.
I know. I picked up. I don't know if you watched the show last night, but on my way out of Indianapolis, I picked up this Corsair 60 gig SSD. I got it for $30, and
that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a refurb. But I mean, which just means they probably had to replace the chip on. There's no moving parts on these, so they just probably replaced the chip and put it in. I wouldn't have no hesitancy buying a refurb SSD. So it's going to go on my daughter's laptop. That's we had some bucks that from the show that Fry's gave to us, and so I picked that up, and that's going to go in. Windows 8 SSD or Windows 8. I've said this before. Windows 8 on any piece of equipment revives it. Yeah. So if you have an older laptop, an older desktop, you want to that feels like it's a dog, $40 $40 for the upgrade, or if you want to go Pro, $70 for the upgrade. I am getting that right. It's $69, right? It's not $79. It's $69, right?
Well, it's $40 if you have like Windows 7 or Vista or XP on the machine. For $40, you can get an upgrade over the internet. Download the bits over the internet and get the key and put Windows 8 Pro on it.
Okay. So yeah, that gets you right there, right?
So for $40 plus your $30 SSD, and you got it.
Right. Oh, so the 69 I'm thinking, right, is if you buy the media.
Yeah, they'll send
Right,
you a
right.
DVD.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we're talking about, go ahead, John.
I was going to say I've read today that you can actually get the price of the upgrade down as low as $17.
Using like promo codes or what?
Using an upgrade path and not strictly telling the truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about your previous hardware and operating system.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even at 40 though, that's a pretty reasonable, price, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, that's the Apple model.
Yeah.
Make it affordable to the masses, and you'll get market saturation.
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
I'm going to recommend the heck out of it. What were you going to say, Mike?
I was going to say, I think that this is a good time for us to tell, you've done this with your wife, I've done this with my wife, where we have given them new PCs, fast hardware with Windows 8 on it, and we've both done, different levels of trying to sell them on the product. But my wife's been using it now for a month and a half or so. Your wife's been using it a little bit longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should discuss, before we get off of Windows 8 and onto the Surface, what do we learn from that?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, so we should end on a positive note.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
So we've gone through some stages. My wife's first reaction was utter hatred of the Metro screen. Absolutely hated the Metro screen, and I told her, look, you never have to go into Metro. I moved over into desktop. First thing she had a problem with was start button was gone. But I said, that's not a big, who cares? It's not a big deal. She only uses maybe a half dozen or a little bit more programs, so I put them all down in the taskbar. She just single clicks on them just fine. So, and then she even got a little bit where she did a couple of things in the Metro side, so it wasn't that bad. Gone maybe a month or so where it has been a non-issue. You living in a desktop, you don't notice that much that you're in Windows 8 versus Windows 7. It pretty much performs the same. No real issues until this past weekend where she ran into some problems. And she went to pull up a PDF or something like that. There must be something native in Windows 8. Jimmy, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were moving.
Okay, good. I did lock up there for a second. I'm hoping my internet's not going down again. If we do, I'll call you all back and we'll reset the show.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
getting.
Okay.
Keep going.
Anyway, she had some issues where she tried to pull up a PDF, and I think Windows 8 or something she did, I don't know, had a PDF reader built into it, and that thing she tried far too long. She should have asked me for help right away, but she could not figure out how to get the thing to print, and it got to the point where she's just absolutely hating Windows 8 at this point. So
just for that one reason,
she's run into a few other issues where things didn't work right. Yeah, and so I think it's just a stage she's going through. I think she'll get out of it. At the stage she's at right now, she's unhappy with it, but I think it's a stage, and it will come around. But the problem I have right now is the kids have watched her experience, and while I had planned for them to be next, that I was going to, when I upgraded theirs, they'll go to Windows 8, they are almost violently opposed to having that on their computer.
Yeah. Well, so let me say this: I've had the opposite experience, right? And so we put it on Sarah's PC, and there's just been no problems with it for the most part. Now, she's a little more tech savvy than most, and she's a little girl geek, or becoming a girl geek from that standpoint. So she has a few little hiccups here and there, and she had to mess with iTunes and some other things and get used to some stuff. But for the most part, her laptop has been working fine. I was holding up that SSD drive that I got, and I actually got that for Sammy's laptop, my daughter, 14-year-old daughter. She's next. She's going to get Windows 8 on her net top, and she even has her net top's even worse than mine. It's like an Atom 420 or 425 or whatever the nomenclatures were on that. And so, but I think it's going to run great on there. And so she's going to get that, and I'll help her through the transition with it. And so, John, you've been using 8. Anybody else in the family using 8 besides you?
Well, my wife has I guess, had sort of a cursory exposure to it, and she loved it. But then, I mean, what she liked was, the ability to change the images on the lock screen and the user screen, and also the desktop. And so for that, I went and put those guys that saw it at the meetup saw the laptop there. It was pictures of us and our grandson. So I mean, she immediately loves it. And she
there's a good.
She. The thing
But
would
you
have almost had
you could have pictures on Windows 7
on the desktop.
Yeah.
But the thing would almost have to catch fire. Well, and then on the Metro screen, it'll cycle through pictures. So I put a folder in there for the photos, and it would cycle through pictures from our vacation when we went to Paris on our anniversary, and also pictures of our grandson. I mean, life is good when she can see those pictures. The thing is, too, she has had some problems with her iPad, with some of the apps on it not being as responsive. They'll update the apps, and they're not as responsive as they were before the update. Or they update the apps, and when she goes into it, and she'll get halfway through an article, and something will happen, and it'll blow her out of the article. So far, as best we can tell, that hasn't been happening, and that's even before the official launch date with the apps. Now you go to the App Store, and the other day I went with the version that's on the laptop. Went up to the App Store, and there was like 15 updates of things. So we pulled them down. There were some things that they don't have apps out yet. Some websites that she likes to go to. She's a big sports fan. She likes to follow sports, and particularly Purdue sports. And so they don't have apps like that would take her to, say, for instance, Purdue Exponent, or there's also a website that is sort of a message board for Purdue athletic fanatics. But it's real easy to kind of build your own with IE10. And build your own tile. Go into it in IE10, save it as an app on your tile face, and then when she wants to go into it, we just hit it and you go there. So I found too. Of course, what I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've talked about it with you guys, but the Metro tile screen, the start screen, really, to me, it was kind of like going back. Because back in the old days when I had DOS 2.1 on my IBM PC, I wrote up a number of batch, and I guess you'd call script files, and set up my own start screen. And so it would have a start screen. You'd type in, you'd hit a key and hit return, and it would take you to the program or application, I guess they'd call it now. Well, the tiles now really reminds me of that, except it's much prettier and much more responsive, and I don't have to set it up except move the tiles. And it's really, for me, there's maybe a half dozen to a dozen things that you really do that often. You move those to the left so that you can get to it, and then you also pin to the taskbar at the bottom and the desktop of the things that you want to get to in that, and I really like it. Now, there's some things like like your wife experienced, you get into some of those applications that are built in the PDF reader, and it's a real pain to figure out.
Was that PDF reader built in? Because it was absolutely horrible. They should just delete it.
It was a pain. It was a pain
because she couldn't even figure out
what they were doing.
She couldn't figure out how to get out of it, and I don't know that. So here's my prediction, and I've made predictions before. And I know you guys think that the flood of Windows hatred has died down and that we're over the hurdle. I think that we have not seen anything yet. That the hatred of Windows 8 has been minuscule, but is about to hit the fan big time. However, if we can get past that, I think that Windows 8 opens excitement for Microsoft that they haven't had in a long time. And that excitement is not going to be so much of Windows 8 on the desktops we see now. Is going to be Windows 8 on new hardware. There's going to be new exciting hardware. And I think that the flood of not just Surface tablets, but new desktop things too. I can see while we won't use touch a lot on a desktop, I bet you we get a influx of touch-enabled desktop monitors that you'll use in conjunction with your keyboard. That you'll have your keyboard, you'll then reach up and slide something over and use a keyboard. It'll become a natural interaction to use keyboard, mouse, and maybe sliding things over. So I think that there will be a flood of issues, but in the long run, the excitement around the hardware and all will overshadow that.
Yeah, I just hope Microsoft will stay the course.
They need to stay the course. They need to stay the course and weather the storm, and address issues like this horrible PDF thing. Either delete it. Two things: fix it right away or delete it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to base my analysis of a system just on the poor quality of one app. And I mean, my overall impression has been this thing is fantastic, and I think it is really going to take off. Now, maybe for some of the old geezers that are locked in their ways like us, that might be different. But I know...
Speak for yourself, John.
But you got to think that the average PC user is not as geeky as us on this show or people watching the show. They're going to be more like my wife. They're not going to be willing to put up with... Windows 7 works fine. There's, what is the reason for me, if I'm on a desktop without a touch interface, what is the reason for me to upgrade? And the reason is not going to be Windows 8. It's going to be all the new hardware that's going to come out later on that takes advantage of Windows 8.
Andrew?
Yeah, my experience has been that the one time I've handed over a Windows 8 machine and said, "What do you think?" It lasted about 20 minutes to half an hour, and this is from someone who's not a power user as well. So, Michelle's assessment was, I can't find anything, and I dumbed it down. I got rid of all the crap on the Metro and got rid of all the the applets that were feeding information from the States, and just the superfluous stuff that just doesn't really do anything for you, and cut it down to what she used, and it was just like, no, don't like it. And I think there's gonna be a lot of people who install things like Start 8 and things like that to get rid of Metro and give it the Windows 7 feel. And I think it's because people it's so ingrained in their soul. We've been using that interface for 17 years now, since 1995.
Yeah.
Except, so one thing. Let me end this discussion because we've talked a lot about this, and I'm going to move on to some things going forward. But, and I've said this before, the user experience changes when you take away the keyboard and the mouse, and they only have touch. And that is something that none of us, well, except maybe me with this, have really been able to experience, because it does make a difference. So, Mike, as an example, when you get in that PDF reader, right? When you're on a PC, man, you are hitting escape and you're moving the mouse all around and you're trying, how do I get out of this, right? It is a mess. Well, when you don't have it and you think, oh, well, wait a minute, I just need to go back to the start menu. So you come over, you go zip zap and bam, and you're back at start. And that you don't have to, or you realize if I just want to close that application, I just grab it at the top and slide it down and it goes away. Right?
Yep.
Close that. How you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Those are, that's exactly how you do it. So those are new. Oh boy, my latency's picking up again here. So if I disappear again, we'll try this one more time. But those are new behaviors that I think will need to be learned when we get on these devices. And I think it's a lot easier to learn them when you don't have the keyboard sitting there necessarily when you're on the touchpad. So.
I think the savior is going to be the hardware. People seeing that hardware sitting right behind you and using that, I think that makes Windows 8 exciting.
Yeah.
Windows 8 on a regular desktop, to me, is not exciting.
No, and I don't think there's a use case for that. Yeah. I don't think people are going to do that.
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
I think there is a use case. I like it. And I think there will be a lot of people who will.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think.
Hold on, Andrew. 1 sec. Let me just back up to John's statement. John, I don't think if Windows 7 works and it's working well for me in a desktop environment, I don't feel compelled, if I don't have touch-enabled stuff, to go to spend the $40 to go to Windows 8, because Windows 7 is already, like my broadcast server and the one I'm speaking on right now. There's really no compelling reason for me to get away from the features that I want in Windows 8 aren't there. when I do that on my desktop. Right now, if I'm installing a new OS and that's what I'm going to get with Windows 8, that's fine. So I just don't think I am compelled to necessarily change for $40 to change what already works for me right here on this kind of hardware, because I don't think that makes a lot of sense to go away from Windows 7 to go to Windows 8 for what I do right here. I think sometimes it causes more problems than it solves, at least today, because they're still cutting over. Now, it absolutely makes sense when I talk about a device like this, right? And I get some of the Windows, or my laptop, that real crappy laptop that we've been talking about, absolutely makes sense to put Windows 8 on that.
I think not only does it make sense to put it on that thing you got there, but it actually, to me at least, it's exciting.
It's
like
better.
Seeing that. Yes.
It's better. The Windows 7 experience on this thing was crap.
Yeah.
It was awful. And so anyways,
I think that's where the excitement of Windows 7 is going to be, and on the Surface tablet. I mean, I think that is going to be an exciting interface to use on the Surface tablet.
Well, I think where the synergy comes in, at least from what I saw, was I had practice with using Splashtop so that I could literally work on it on a tablet by using Splashtop, and what it does is it remotes into a Windows 8 machine over my network at home, and I'm actually then working or interfacing with Windows 8 on an iPad, basically putting Windows 8 onto an iPad, and I was able to use the touchscreen interface and everything. And once you start getting used to it that way, when then I moved it to, I did put it on a desktop for a while and was running that, and then when I moved it to the laptop, I knew where things were. I knew how I like to do things. I knew how I like to interface with it. And actually, by having it on the iPad without a keyboard, I appreciated it when I, moved it to laptop and desktop, because I was actually able to use the keyboard. I think the real synergy then that's really going to hit, too, is when people get the Surface and they have the keyboard. And so then you have that option of interfacing with it just strictly as a tablet, or interfacing with it as a touchscreen and a keyboard. And I think that's going to be quite an impact. But once you get used to that ecosystem with that tablet type or touchscreen type interface, then having it on your desktop starts to make a lot of sense, I think, because I'm finding, like with the desktop on my machine that I'm talking to you guys with now, it sort of screws me up because I'm used to working now with Windows 8, and when I try to do things now on my desktop, I find out I can't do it because I could do it on the other machines, but I can't do it on this machine. So I'm getting to the point where it is starting to become annoying even with Windows 7, and I think just the case you talked about, when you're upgrading old hardware, you can get more speed with Windows 8 than you're going to get more speed, or at least the effect of feeling more speed with Windows 8 versus older OSs. And I'm doing for a relative, I'm upgrading, rebuilding an XP machine, and she wanted, keep the cost down as low as possible. Well, XP, I'm sorry, is dead in my mind, and as far there's security issues I see with it. And I wanted to move it up, and Windows 8 was the way to go because I could do it for $40. And even though it's an old machine, it's performing better than it did when it had XP on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good point. Mike, anything else to add to that?
Nope.
Yeah, I was going to cut over to Andrew, but he had to take a quick call, so we cut him off like twice or maybe 3 times. So Andrew, sorry about that. Andrew, when you listen to this show to do the show notes, we're sorry.
But I was wondering, what do you guys think? The Surface RT, I think, is going to be the only thing I could see hurting the Surface RT is if the performance is a dog, and I can't imagine they would bring something out that had crappy performance.
And that's one of the things I want to see too, because I've seen multiple reviews. One where they're playing back videos and there's pauses and the video is not playing back well. Then I've seen other reviews where the video's playing, HD videos playing smooth and clean. So I want to see it for myself. One of the things you don't know, and the ones that were playing at jerk you back, is what kind of wireless connection they had. Was it the Surface or was it the wireless connection? You don't know. So I think the reviews have started hitting over the last couple of days, and there have been some going both ways. For the most part, from what I've seen at least, they've been more positive than they have been negative.
Yeah, I mean, I ran it on my iPad, which the iPad's not a performance race car, and I was running it over tied into a VM running on one of my machines downstairs, and it's running on over my home network. And I thought the performance in that case was pretty good. So I can't, I just can't imagine they'd be crazy enough to that the CPU and the RT would be a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Mike, maybe since you should ping me tomorrow if they do come in the mail for you, and maybe this weekend we should jump on and do a quick, review. There. I assume you're going to get to bring them home.
Yeah, I'll bring one of them home. The other one, I'll bring the 64-bit one home. 64 gig. 64. See, my IT guy called it 64-bit, and I said, "What are you talking? No, 64 gig." And now he's got me saying it. 64 gig one. I'll bring that one home.
Yeah, it might be. John, there is a little bit, with it's going to be on an ARM processor, and it'll be interesting to see how that runs natively on ARM. So that's what people haven't seen yet. We've all been testing it on VMs that have adequate hardware, moving it across networks for you're using. What's the program that you use to emulate it on the iPad? Splashtop. Yeah, and so all the Splashtop had to do was run the visual bits on the iPad.
Yeah, it was really running a remote desktop.
Yeah.
And Jim, you said something about it's not. It didn't have the enterprise or whatever. So for us, we don't run an Exchange server. We don't do anything like that. Most of the interaction they're going to do with our data is through a web portal. So as long as they have internet access, they can get to that data. And then the fact that it won't run all these old Windows 7 programs is actually a plus. It means they can't load all kind of crap into there. They're limited to what they can run. They don't need 100,000 different apps to load from the App Store because, again, this is not an Angry Birds play. Although Angry Birds, I think, is going to be out there. This is not meant for them to play all kind of games on it and have all kind of photo apps and that kind of junk. This is meant for them to use as a work device. So from that standpoint, those aren't negatives to the device. Those are positives for us.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, Mary Jo Foley had a article on how you can upgrade the home and student version of Office to a business version. I guess there is a pretty simple process to do that, so that you can have that, but you still can't put Office Outlook on there, not on the RT.
Yeah, and that may be an issue because if we can't get a good email reader on there, then that may be good. But I don't know. Let's see with that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about apps real quick. We've got just a few minutes to kind of wrap this up, and there are a bunch of apps that are out there. I've been out in the App Store, and the advantage to using the App Store, of course, is those apps are sandboxed in, and so the threat of viruses, the threat of apps taking over the OS that's kind of a thing of the past. I think for the most part, we're not even going to really worry much about that going forward. This new version has been written with security in mind. And so there's John, you had mentioned earlier a bunch of apps, or Mike, I can't remember, one of you had mentioned earlier. I came back to the Touch to my HP TouchSmart, and then had 18 app updates. And this is kind of the second or third or fourth go around of updates here in the last 3 weeks. My gut feeling is that Microsoft is now cranking hard on their own apps, as well as the developers that are out there are starting to go, oh crap, this thing really goes live on Friday. I need to make some. They've been getting feedback from beta test users, or just from the App Store. They've created these apps, put it in the App Store. They've been running for 3 or 4 weeks, and they've been getting feedbacks from their users. A couple really encouraging things to me from an app's perspective is that Skype is now available. So it just came out yesterday.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah,
Skype, Hulu Plus.
Did you download it?
Yeah, I downloaded it this afternoon. Andrew and I had an attempt at a video conference and couldn't make that work all the way. I don't think that was a Skype issue more than it was just maybe some network issue on one of our ends. Andrew had to go, and so I called Mike Howard because I knew he was going to be on the show tonight, and we Skyped on my, again, this is all from that HP DM1Z laptop that I have.
It worked great.
And we Skyped right out of I was up on the kitchen, I was making dinner, and Skyped. A really nice interface too. When you're in Skype, it's full screen, and it looks good, it works good. You can pop over and bring the chat window, so you can have half video and half chat, and nice. It works well. So Ed Bott said last week that he'd bet his job, or $5, whatever is less, on Skype being available at launch, and sure enough, it came out today. So Skype and TeamViewer and Xbox, Smart Glass, Remote Desktop, Netflix, Evernote, OneNote MX, those are all applications available right now.
I can't wait to try the Smart Glass, because I just got the fall update for my Xbox. So I'm looking forward to trying the Smart Glass also.
When you downloaded Skype, did you set it up to be active all the time, or not active?
I allowed for background services in there, John.
So I wonder how that's going to impact battery life.
Yeah, it's a good question, and on my laptop, I really don't monitor it that closely, but that's a very good question when you allow that. I also installed Tweetro, which is a Twitter client, right?
I have
that also allows for background, background services to run and notifications. So I have a feeling. So there's been a bunch of apps being released. I have a feeling tomorrow we're going to see a bunch more hit the store. And,
you know what? That's kind of exciting. Is every time you go into the App Store, you're probably going to see new stuff for a while.
Although, I'm thinking, right on. That you're right, Mike. That isn't exciting, right? New apps coming out. Maybe Skype came out, with Andrew coming back, maybe Skype came out to support the Windows 8, because it came out kind of yesterday, and we knew Australia would be coming online way before us, and so maybe it was released early enough or those apps are already in the App Store. The ones that we're anticipating coming out with the U.S. launch, maybe they're already out there for us to take a peek at. So a lot of new ones that are out there. Andrew, we cut you off a few minutes ago, and then I know you had to go. Did you have any other final thoughts on? We were talking about the user experience, and we moved on to apps, but we cut you off. Any thoughts?
No, I can't even think where I was going with it.
Okay, good enough. I just wanted to make sure we at least got that. So besides Skype, any apps out there that you're kind of waiting for that aren't there, or that are showstoppers that if they're not there?
Well, I want to be able to do Google Hangouts.
Okay. Yeah, Google, that'd be a good one. I know there's some Google search stuff, so that I bet Google's working on something. Andrew?
I still think for the enterprise, because I'm more of an enterprise user than anything else, that we're going to see a lot of adoption issues with our enterprise class tools. I just think that our current enterprise early adopter program build, we own Radia as an organization, so it's an HP product, and even Radia works on 8, but it doesn't work well. A lot of the things that we use on a day-to-day basis for sysadmin functions and the like just don't work yet. So there's teething problems.
Yeah, no, they won't, and I don't think anyone in Microsoft thinks they would. They'll be coming. Those tools.
And for me, even a basic level, Windows 8 Professional, install the Media Center code to get it up and running, and Mantuna's not recognized. So, install the Windows 7 drivers. No. Admittedly, it was a bit of a mongrel to get working under Windows 7 64-bit, so I'm going to have a crack with 32-bit, but that may be a deal sealer for me.
Okay, all right. Mike?
If I can't record, then is it something that's going to do the job?
Sure. Yep.
You're talking more on the Surface, right? Because on the desktop, I'm sticking with Windows 7 for now. But on a Surface tablet, no, there's no killer apps that it doesn't have already that it would be a showstopper for me. Skype, I'm glad they have that. I really would like to have the Hangout thing, like John just said. but that wouldn't stop me from getting one because, I know it's if it's not there at launch, it's going to be shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I just looked up and saw there's a Google search app and that's out there, and I thought, oh, maybe this is one of those silly apps that, and I wish you could see it, you can't here, but it was I was thinking, it's probably one of those silly apps that one of those developers did in like 10 minutes and then published to the store, and the publisher is Google Inc. So Google has an approved app already out there. I don't think Microsoft's going to stop them. So I don't think it'll be long before we see a Google Plus. That will probably be how it comes out. Oh, and I should probably maybe search for that Google Plus app, just like it is on Android or just like it is on iOS. It'll be a Google Plus app that comes out, and then the Hangout functionality will be built inside it. I bet that comes pretty quick, to be honest.
Yeah, on my wife's computer, going back to that, I had downloaded the regular Skype for her. I guess I should probably uninstall that and give her the Metro thing, which, your expense has been worked really good.
Yeah.
We just lost John for some...
Oh, shoot. Yeah, he was getting
some bandwidth issues.
Yeah.
But, on the Surface, like I said, on the Surface tablet, it already has the main apps that I need.
Okay, so nothing stopping you. It's cool to see what's coming out, though. I think I don't like the store. I hope they change it. These flat rectangles don't really give you much.
Well, my feeling on all the whole Metro thing looks old, but it's going to be exciting, like I said, to go into the store and see new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what Microsoft needed. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I agree. The interface is, it's a little bit aged, but it's going to be a lot like being an early adopter for Android. I think, let me check in on the store today, tomorrow, the next day, because the apps are going to be increasing thousandfold.
Right.
So I think that's going to be the real exciting bit for me.
And while their user base, so right now a lot of the apps are based upon or came from the developers who are writing for the Windows Phone. Is that where a lot of these were coming from? Maybe those developers. And I think that ecosystem was so tiny, and we've talked about this before. But now you get in this ecosystem, desktops, laptops, Surface tablets, and all these things, and then all the OEMs are going to create all these new devices and all the excitement it's going to generate. I think you're going to attract a lot more developers, and there's going to be a lot more coming, and it won't be long before the differences between the apps, the number of apps between Apple, Android, and Microsoft is going to be, who cares? If I have 90,000, you have 120,000, or whatever that number is, it's not going to be that big of a difference.
Yeah, no, right on. I totally agree. And I think, of course, we've so many apps have just gone to the web that do you really need an app for everything anymore? I know a showstopper. Now, you've never use a tablet to record the show, but I use Audacity. Mm-hmm. And so that would be for me, I've got to have something like that on the to work on the desktop side. Of course, that would work in Windows 8 Pro, right? And so I wouldn't have any problems with that. So I don't see apps at this point as being a problem for most people. If they're doing those, here's a big broad statement, right? If they're needing x86 like apps, they're probably going to need to do it on a desktop anyways.
Yeah.
And if so then everything else can run on the tablet. The question I think will be is how quickly will Microsoft iterate on their own apps? Like that mail app needs a little bit of help. It needs help soon too. Yeah. And because if it were me, I'm just going to flip over to the browser. I'm going to go to Outlook.com and I'm going to use that one. I'm a little more comfortable with that one than I am with the native one. So that in that case, both work for me, or could work. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of fast iteration on these apps. They're already updating like crazy. I mean, I've been getting updates all the time, so it's certainly an exciting time.
Well, think about this. In the last 5 years, the talk has been all Android, Apple, Google. Microsoft is really, if you talk about the exciting tech companies, Microsoft has not been there at all. And this brings them back. Now, I still think there's going to be a backlash on Windows 8, but the hardware is going to be, I hope, the hardware is going to be so attractive that it's going to make you want to have Windows 8 on that hardware. And they're going to be back in the news all the time. They just need to weather the storm, update it, and keep it going, and get past the hurdle.
Yeah. If I was buying a laptop that was touch enabled, yeah, Windows 8 for sure.
Not that this is a finance show, but I would look at their stock. I think that this should get some excitement in the company and help out their stock too.
Yeah. Let's hope so. It's been at $30 for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we lost John Stutsman. I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't make John mad. I don't think it did. Guys,
no, he says he's trying to get back in.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's just some general problems with the internet here in the United States right now. Things don't seem to be. Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's just blame it on the infrastructure and go with there.
It's everybody looking up Surface RT and is killing the internet.
Like, what is that? Well, big day tomorrow for Microsoft, and so I think the question is to buy or not to buy an RT tablet. So I am in the not to buy camp. I don't have a need for a tablet. I think if I was going to use a tablet, I would have bought one by now. I would have either bought an Android tablet or an iOS device. I've been really happy with the laptop that Andrew talked me into buying 2 years ago with that HP DM1Z. That works out real well. Even Windows 7 on it was pretty good. Windows 8 on it's dynamite. And it is my tablet, right? I can't touch screen on it, but that's okay. It works for me right where it's at, and so I think I'm okay. Mike, you're going to get one, so we're going to talk about hopefully this weekend. You'll have it. We'll talk a little bit about it. Andrew, are you yes or no? You're gonna hold off on RT?
I've actually got a couple of DM1s with the Core i3 processor sitting on the shelf at the moment that we picked up cheap.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll probably roll Windows 8 onto one of those and see how I like it.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at a tweet from Joshua Topolsky of a Microsoft store in New York City that is absolutely jam-packed with people right now.
Yeah, it's 10:20 on the East Coast. That store opens at midnight.
Yeah.
That's the only Microsoft store opening at midnight tonight. And Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, and a bunch of others, I think Ed Bott's going to be there, they're all doing meetups right now, and then they're going to wait in line and we got John back. That's good.
But this is what Microsoft needed. They need excitement. They need people, whether you like Joshua Topolsky or not. You need them tweeting about Microsoft, talking about Microsoft,
right, and
doing all that kind of stuff. Somebody out in chat mentioned that there's going to be a flood of choices, and that may be an issue too. But I think there's a flood of people. While the iPad is hugely popular, I think there's still a lot of people who haven't done a tablet yet, and that market is still ripe for new people to join.
Good stuff. John, any final comments on anything we talked about tonight? I'm going to cover a few news items, and we're going to sign off. Anything?
I'm at a loss of what to say. Google Chrome bit the dust on me, and I'm actually had to if for some reason it trashed something, and I had to do a cold boot to my desktop, 2 cold boots.
Oh, wow.
And went into Internet Explorer 9 to be able to talk to you guys.
Oh, wow. So you're an IE9. Hey, Google Chrome is having some issues. I think it's got what we used to call memory leak problems. And I'm noticing, so if you're a Chrome user and you notice Chrome stops working or is not working the way you want it to, go to your task manager. So right-click on the toolbar or the taskbar on the bottom and go to your task manager, and then go to the processes tab and look at chrome.exe 32 and see how many processes you have running. And yeah, it's a little frightening, to be honest with you. And then last night I thought, okay, I'm going to uninstall Chrome and reinstall it. And so I went to uninstall it, and I closed. I said, you got to close everything out. So I forgot that one, so I closed that. Uninstall. Oh, you got to close it out. Well, I don't have any more open, right? So I right-click Cache Properties. I still had Chrome instances running in the background that must have gotten froze up. And I just froze up. So, guys, if I lose it, this will be the end of the show. But if I get cut off at this point, we're just going to end the show. But I'll talk until that happens.
68 for me.
Yeah. So, and Mike, do you think you have 68 tabs open?
I don't think so, but I could.
Yeah. So I think there's something wrong with Chrome. I'll be honest with you. It's not closing windows or processes all the way.
And I've mentioned that I've had an issue, and I've researched this and found other people who've had it too, where you click on a tab, you move from one tab to the other, and that tab somehow comes, just by clicking on it, comes out of that window and creates its own window.
Yeah.
And you got to put it back into the window where it was. I've had that issue. And I've had an issue with right here with Google Talk. I've had to uninstall and reinstall that.
Yeah. So something's not right at Google right now. And shoot, I used to say, we used to have problems with Hangouts, and I'd say, are you an IE? And everybody'd say yes. They say, okay, you got to get in Chrome. Well, now I'm kind of thinking, geez, maybe we need to all move over to IE. Isn't that ironic? We have to move over to IE. Oh, God.
Yeah, I did a reboot, and I went back into Chrome, and as soon as I pulled up Hangouts, it just locked up. And so I sat back with it and did another reboot and went into IE, and here I am. So I don't know what closing comments. I think tomorrow is going to be pretty exciting, and I really wish I could be out there in line. The only problem is if I was out there in line, I'd probably end up buying something, which wouldn't be a good thing.
I cannot wait to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah,
I bet.
Well, I'm looking forward
to
to hearing your report back, Mike.
Yeah, I told my guy this morning, my IT guy this morning. Every day I came in, I kept getting excited, hoping it'd be sitting on my chair when I came in that morning. Somehow you got it early, and every day you've disappointed me.
Oh, jeez. Man, remind me not to work for you, Mike. Well, guys, we at least made this in 2 segments, and if you're on the audio, remember there'll be 2 separate. I'll probably have to download those out of YouTube and stitch them back together, and then bring those back up. But if you're watching this and you're wondering, hey, wait a minute, where's the first half of this? It just means I haven't stitched them together yet. A lot of work to do on the audio and video this weekend. Andrew will give me a hand, I hope, with the show notes, and between the 2 of us, we will get the podcast done. Guys, thanks for weighing in on Windows 8 and Windows 8 Pro. I think we got an exciting weekend. Lots of things to talk about for the future. If this is the first time listening to the Home Tech podcast, we don't always talk about Windows 8. It's just we had to talk about it tonight with the release tomorrow. It deserved a whole night of talk. And there is a site that's part of the Home Server Show kind of community that we're all a part of, surfacegeeks.net. I'm going to try to get Dave McCabe, who runs that, to come on tonight, and he's in the middle of probably waiting in line at the Oak Brook store.
He probably has his tent set up,
He's going to need to.
A cup of coffee.
He's going to need to, for sure.
I think he'd be tweeting us if he was doing that, don't you think?
Yeah. Maybe so. Maybe so.
Dave's on the Kool-Aid, huh?
Yeah, well, if you have a site called surfacegeeks.net, don't you have to be on the Kool-Aid? Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so too.
No, me too. I'm pretty excited about all the stuff that's going on. Meanwhile, in the background, if you're, I appreciate you guys sending me emails around both Windows 8 Know It Guide and the Cloud Storage Know It Guide. I keep getting emails from you guys, and I just have not had time to get those updated. But lots of interesting things going on in the cloud storage space. Pogo Plug announced a $4.99 all-you-can-eat buffet for their cloud storage offering, if you want to take advantage of that. And then I just think it's going to start a cloud storage. I mean, I predicted this when Crash Plan went to $50 a year, that I think eventually it'll be all you can eat.
When you say $4.99, $4.99 a month?
$4.95 a month.
Okay.
For unlimited, and that so that works out to be around the same price as the Crash Plan for the most part. But
next thing you're gonna know, somebody's gonna have like Bubba Drive or Jimmy Drive.
I forgot about Bubba Drive.
Jimmy Drive is actually Jimmy Drive.
Yeah, but I like Bubba Drive. That's a good one. I'm sorry, small, very, very, very small inside joke. On
you have to do research on your own for Jimmy Drive.
Yeah, just Google Jimmy Drive and take a look at that and see what that is. All right, well, we'll do it all again here next week. Next Thursday, it'll be November 1st, All Saints Day, and we'll be back here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at the averageguy.tv/live. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in tonight. Everybody have a great night. Good night.
Good night,
everyone. Good night.
I really did not think that my connection was going to stay up till the end of the show.
Yeah, so it did.
Did I miss anything?
Not
really.
No, we just kind of wrapped up. We wrapped up the apps discussion.
Did you see the tweet from Joshua Topolsky with the photo?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. What tweet?
Joshua Topolsky tweeted a New York City store, Microsoft store, and as he said, it's just insane. It's packed.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. Anybody's in New York doing the.
And there's a guy with a Samsung Galaxy outside saying, something about he's already got all this or something like that.
Well, and the 29th. Oh yeah, okay. I see Paul Thurrot's picture that he sent. He just tweeted.
So did Sinofsky. Sinofsky just tweeted too.
Yeah, the crowd is crazy, but you're going to have
Windows. Yeah,
Windows Phone's going to be coming out. The 29th.
I'm looking at Tom Warren's picture that someone just threw into the chat, and it's like an Apple store. There's more stuff. There's more Microsoft stuff than customers in there.
Yeah, that one that he did. That's the one Josh Kropowski put out too. But the one that John was talking about that's much more impressive. The one John was talking about that's
Paul
from
Thurrott.
Paul Thurrott is from outside the store, and it is just wall-to-wall people everywhere. Now I don't know if they're all waiting to go in there, but that is just here. I'll put it in.
Okay, I've retweeted it. You're following me, aren't you, Andrew?
I'm going to put it in chat though.
Okay. Probably.
I think you're following me. I just retweeted it, so you should see it.
Yeah, I'd need to open a Twitter client more than once.
There's the link in.
Gonna follow
There's a link in chat to Paul's photo.
Maybe I'm not following you, John. What's your
at John Stutsman?
No, I'm following you.
I thought you were.
The last tweet I've got from you was 4 hours ago.
Oh, I am following it.
Yeah, this. Okay, well, I just retweeted. I just retweeted Paul.
And I'm sure your tweet's going out.
Yeah, I didn't get it either, John.
Says it did.
Hey, Jim, I put the link from Paul's thing in chat. But that doesn't.
Of course, I'm tweeting it from an iPod, so
You're gonna have to highlight the whole thing and cut and paste it because it looked like the whole link didn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wondered why I'm not seeing John's tweets.
I'm not either, though, and I just followed him. I'm not seeing your tweet either, John.
No.
Holy moly!
You looking at it now?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Dang.
Do we have anybody? Tim, did you get the link to work?
I just tweeted his link.
They're outside.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? There's John. Wow. I just got your thing, John.
You got the picture?
Yeah.
Oh, let me look here.
Are you following me too, Mike?
I just followed you with my Gifotent.
Yeah. I see it now.
Gifotent account.
Yeah, that's pretty much dominating Twitter right now. You guys still there?
I'm gonna do a. I'm looking at TweetDeck, and I'm gonna do a new search on Surface and see how fast that.
Yeah,
grows.
Guys out in chat, I'm gonna end the broadcast. I want to make sure I at least get half this available on video. I'm not sure if the first half ever made it in there. So, anyways, guys out there in chat, you guys hang around for one more second, but. If you're out there listening, thanks for coming out tonight, and happy Windows 8 launch day to you tomorrow.
Yep.
And I was hoping to go down to Kansas City, but I've got interviews tomorrow that I got to do. That was bad planning on my part. So
wow.
We'll catch up with you guys next week in chat. Thanks for coming out.
See you guys.
See you guys.